again. My name is Michael Paul Hurd. I'm the owner of Lineage Independent Publishing and author of my Lineage series of historical fiction novels. Welcome to the fourth episode of my series. In this podcast, I am going to talk about the storyline and the historical setting for Wayward Son, Lineage Series Book 4. As you watch this recording, I invite your questions or comments through the appropriate interface on Facebook, YouTube, or Substack, and I will respond as soon as possible. The book opens and ends with a young girl and her grandfather sitting under an oak tree that he planted as a youngster. Millicent, the granddaughter, is curious about how her grandfather's two brothers were involved in the Civil War over 30 years earlier and how the family got to Missouri. In my mind, the screen fades to black as the grandfather, David Haskins, recounts the story of his family, starting with his own father, Virgil. Virgil was born into a slave-owning family on Virginia's northern neck, a peninsula between the Potomac and Rappahannock rivers, an area that was, and still is, horse country. Virgil's mother took Naomi, one of the house slaves, under her wing and provided Naomi with an education, something that was technically illegal in Virginia before the Civil War. As children, Virgil and Naomi were playmates, but as the two grew into adulthood, they could not deny their feelings for each other. Had they both been white, they likely would have gotten married. Instead, they both accepted that they could be nothing more to each other than master and slave, despite Naomi becoming pregnant. Regardless, their physical relationship continued for many years. Virgil lived a life of privilege and hobnobbed with other well-to-do families of the Northern Neck, including the remaining members of the Lee family from which Robert E. Lee was descended. When Virgil's father passes away, the farm becomes Virgil's. His mother, Caroline, had been left a trust fund sufficient enough that she chose to leave the family farm and move to the nearby village of Tappahannock. There, Caroline becomes ill and hires a companion, Anastasia Cooper, to care for her. Virgil is quite taken with Anastasia, or Stacy as she is called. The feelings are reciprocated, and the two are married shortly after Caroline's death. The new couple takes up residence on Westphalia, as the farm was named by Virgil's father, where Stacy quickly discovers she is pregnant and knows nothing of Virgil's long-standing and continuing relationship with the slave Naomi. The Haskins' firstborn, however, succumbs to cholera. Grieving heavily over the loss of their son, gambling becomes central to Virgil's existence. A series of bad decisions encumber Westphalia as collateral for Virgil's mounting debts. With no other options, Virgil and Stacy abandon the farm and head west for Missouri, along with the entire complement of slaves. Stacy does not know for certain that Virgil's gambling was a causative factor in abandoning the farm. Rather, she is told that a bad business deal was behind the abandonment. On the trek west, Stacy becomes pregnant again, but is overwhelmed by the fear that she will lose this child as well. The slave midwife Alice comforts Stacy, and over time the two become friends. Alice shares secrets with Stacy about the lineage of her slave family and how it intersected at multiple points with white landowners. Reaching the Ohio River, the Haskins party boards a small fleet of barges and heads downstream. An encounter with a paddle wheel riverboat results in a horrific accident and the death of Virgil's son by the slave Naomi. In Missouri, despite the birth of two more sons and a daughter, Virgil and Anastasia's marriage falls apart after several of the long-standing secrets shared by Alice are revealed. Though they remain married, both were miserable. Differing views on slavery eventually split the family, with the two older sons joining the opposing armies in the Civil War. The brothers are reunited in Antietam, with the Confederate brother, an officer, deserting along with his Union brother, a sergeant, from a field hospital supervised by the surgeon for the 14th Indiana, Dr. Anson Hurd. The deserters head north towards Canada, using some of the same safe houses and routes used by escaping slaves. David, the youngest son, and his sister Victoria had remained behind on the Missouri farm, with David constantly wondering what had happened to his two older brothers, as the last information he had was from Antietam. It turns out that Victoria knew more about the soldier brothers than she ever told David, and more family secrets are revealed in the final chapters of the story. Over the past few minutes, I've provided an overview of Wayward Son, the fourth novel in my Lineage series, which does not have to be read sequentially. There are currently 10 books in the series, and an 11th is on the way. For Lineage Independent Publishing, I'm Michael Paul Hurd. Thanks for watching.